Look, the average person laughs around 17 times every single day. But here is the part that stops most people cold. Scientists still cannot fully agree on why we do it. Laughter is one of the most universal human experiences on the planet, shared across every culture, every language, every civilization in recorded history. And yet, for something so automatic, so deeply wired into who we are, the science behind it is far stranger, far deeper, and far more surprising than anyone ever told you. Tease in the next 10 minutes, you are going to discover what actually happens inside your brain and body when you laugh, why laughter evolved in the first place, and what the latest neuroscience is revealing about its almost unbelievable effects on human health. We will also get into the one finding that completely flips the common understanding of laughter on its head. Most people think laughter is a reaction. The science says something very different. Stay with us. Background: to understand laughter, you have to go back further than you might expect. Much further. Researchers studying animal behavior have found clear evidence of laughter-like vocalizations in at least 65 different species. Chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, and even rats produce rhythmic, repetitive sounds during play that are structurally similar to human laughter. Jake Panksepp, a neuroscientist at Washington State University, discovered in the late 1990s that when rats are tickled, they emit ultrasonic chirps at around 50 kHz, a frequency far above human hearing. When given the choice, those rats actively seek out tickling. They will work to get more of it. That is not a coincidence. That is ancient biological wiring. This tells us something critical. Laughter did not begin as a response to jokes. It began as a social bonding signal during play. It was a way for animals, including our earliest human ancestors, to communicate safety. To say, in the most primal way possible, this is not a threat. We are okay here. That signal is estimated to be tens of millions of years old. It predates language. It predates tools. In evolutionary terms, laughter is extraordinarily ancient, and that age is exactly why it runs so deep in us today. Human laughter itself is a surprisingly complex physical event. When you laugh, somewhere between 15 and 17 facial muscles contract simultaneously. Your respiratory system shifts into a rapid, semi-involuntary pattern. You exhale in short, sharp bursts, sometimes losing so much breath that you cannot speak. Your larynx partially closes. Your body temporarily loses fine motor control, which is why people double over, slap their knees, or fall out of their chairs during intense laughter. Robert Provini, a neuroscientist at the University of Maryland who spent decades specifically studying laughter, described it as a stereotype, species-specific vocalization. In plain terms, every human on Earth laughs in essentially the same way. The sound changes, the intensity changes, but the mechanics are nearly identical across all of humanity. Main content: so what is happening in the brain during all of this? The neuroscience is genuinely fascinating. Laughter activates multiple brain regions at once, which is part of what makes it so hard to pin down. The frontal lobe, responsible for processing social and emotional context, fires up first. It is essentially deciding whether something is funny. Then the motor cortex gets involved, triggering the physical response. The limbic system, which governs emotion and reward, releases dopamine. And the nucleus accumbens, the brain's core reward center, lights up in a way that is strikingly similar to what happens during eating, sex, and certain substances. Laughter, at the neurochemical level, is genuinely rewarding. Your brain treats it as a survival-relevant event. But here is what nobody talks about: laughter is more often social than it is funny. Robert Provini's field research found that people are approximately 30 times more likely to laugh in social situations than when they are alone. When Provini and his team analyzed over 1,000 instances of natural laughter in real-world settings, they found that the majority of laughs, around 80%, occurred not after jokes or punchlines, but after completely ordinary statements. Things like, "I'll see you later," or "I know, right?" Laughter, in the majority of real-life cases, is a social lubricant. It is punctuation. It is a signal that says I am with you, I am engaged, I am part of this group. This completely reframes how we understand humor. The joke is not what causes the laugh. The social context is. The joke simply gives the brain an acceptable reason to trigger a response that was already primed by the relationship, the setting, and the shared emotional state in the room. Now let's talk about what laughter physically does to the body, because this is where the data gets remarkable. A genuine laugh, what researchers call a Duchenne laugh, named after the French physician Guillaume Duchenne who first studied authentic facial expressions, triggers the release of endorphins, the brain's natural painkillers. A 2011 study from Oxford University led by Robin Dunbar found that people who had just laughed could tolerate pain significantly better than those who had not. Not slightly better. Significantly. The effect was strong enough that Dunbar described laughter as a remote endorphin release system. The cardiovascular effects are equally striking. A study from the University of Maryland Medical Center found that laughter causes the inner lining of blood vessels, the endothelium, to expand, increasing blood flow in a way that is almost identical to what aerobic exercise does. 15 minutes of genuine laughter can have measurable short-term cardiovascular benefits. Michael Miller, the cardiologist who led that research, suggested that laughter might one day be considered a legitimate complementary tool in heart health management alongside diet and exercise. That is not a metaphor. That is clinical data. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, drops measurably after a laughter episode. Immunoglobulin A, an antibody that plays a critical role in immune defense, increases. Studies on cancer patients, hospital recovery, and chronic pain management have all produced consistent findings pointing in the same direction. Laughter is not just emotionally pleasant. It is biologically useful in ways that human medicine is only beginning to quantify. Deep dive here is where the science gets philosophically interesting. Gelotology, the formal study of laughter and its effects, has identified something researchers call the incongruity theory of humor. The idea is that laughter is triggered when your brain detects a mismatch between what it expected and what actually happened. A setup builds a prediction. The punchline violates it. The brain, instead of treating this as an error, releases the tension as laughter. This is why timing in comedy is not artistic preference. It is neuroscience. The delay between setup and punchline allows the brain's prediction to fully form before it gets broken. The bigger the expectation, the bigger the release. But incongruity alone is not enough. Researchers have added what they call the benign violation theory, developed by Peter McGraw at the University of Colorado. For something to be funny, it has to be a violation, something wrong, unexpected, or threatening, but it also has to be simultaneously benign, meaning safe or okay in context. Dark humor, absurdist comedy, slapstick, satire, every major form of comedy maps onto this framework. It is a violation that you can afford to laugh at. Remove the benign quality, and the same situation stops being funny immediately. Analysis: what does all of this mean in practical terms? It means that laughter is not a passive response. It is an active biological and social system with measurable effects on the brain, the body, and the relationships between people. Organizations that dismiss workplace humor are inadvertently suppressing a neurochemical bonding mechanism that evolution spent millions of years building. Healthcare environments that integrate laughter-based interventions, and several now do, are working with the body's own biochemistry rather than against it. Understanding the science of laughter also reframes what comedians actually do for a living. They are not just entertainers. They are technicians of incongruity, engineers of benign violation, working within a framework that is deeply neurological. When a joke lands perfectly, it is not luck. It is the precise calibration of expectation, timing, and social safety. Conclusion: laughter began not as a response to humor, but as a survival signal in social animals.